What's up, everybody, and welcome back to ITG Daily. I am Drew. You can find me on Twitter at ArtisticGamer28. That is Scott Savage. You can find him on Twitter at Savage. Scott, what is going on?
A little bit of a hiccup there, but I'm ready to get into another episode. We got lots to talk about.
Absolutely, lots going on. Call of Duty's numbers are staggering. The PS5 is the best-selling console around the world, and Xbox is going free to play. You can find us live every day on twitch.tv/theofficialitg. Watch us later over on YouTube, TV streaming services around the world, podcasts, and of course, InsideTheGame.ca. Scott, you ready to get going with some Call of Duty?
Yes, what do the numbers mean, Mason?
Oh my goodness. Call of Duty has two incredible milestones. Call of Duty sells and reaches 100 million players with Warzone, and it sells in the eclipse of 400 million units. Dude, it is selling staggering numbers. It is a massive, massive game.
I just had a thought. 100 million players on Warzone. That may be the largest virtual training session that has ever happened across the planet.
Maybe, right? But let's get into it. A look at what 100 million players have done within Warzone, from tens of billions of matches to deploying enough parachutes to cover Verdansk several times over. This is for the record. Captain John Price from Call of Duty Modern Warfare says, as the Season 3's launch approaches, Call of Duty's Warzone, Call of Duty, and the Call of Duty franchise is celebrating two major milestones. Call of Duty surpasses Warzone surpasses 100 million players, and the numbers, what do they mean? Well, along with reaching 100 million players, check out every infographic that's buzzing around the world right now, finding across 28 billion matches with a global player base of operators infiltrating Verdansk and Rebirth Island from 7 continents. Dude, it is just huge. And then that's followed up with Call of Duty surpasses 400 million premium game sales. While celebrating the number of players who dropped into Warzone, they also crossed another major milestone with the franchise selling over 100 million Call of Duty premium games since the launch back in 2003.
Holy, it looks like Call of Duty and Warzone may be the one thing that unites us all across 7 continents. It's a huge amount of interest.
It's non-stop, right? Like, whether you like Call of Duty or not, it is the top game in the industry, in the world. Like, we saw the rise of Pokemon Go hit, and everybody went out in the world and were walking around and stuff. Dude, I don't think they pulled off numbers like this.
No, that was staggering and very surprising. Not super surprising among my generation. It was basically everybody had it, but this exceeds that just on a level that I never expected. That's insane numbers.
It's fantastic. Well, obviously, we'll see more Call of Duty. We have more Call of Duty plan coming for this year. It's always changing, and now sometimes it didn't actually change for the better, but for the most part, dude, Call of Duty is just a force to be reckoned with.
Well, yeah, some call it a misstep in the case of Future Warfare and certain ones along the line, but
sure,
each one of them have their fans. Each one of them definitely has its own merit.
There's so many titles now. I'm lost as like how many they've actually published, because it's just every year there's a new Call of Duty, right? Did we take 1 year off? I think maybe in the past decade. Like, it's just, dude.
If they were all serialized with the number, I think we're on 18.
Like, that's insane. But they're strong. They keep going. And who else is keeping going is PlayStation, as they add Firewalk. A AAA team sets its sights on creating memorable multiplayer moments for players. Tony Hsu he's a studio head over at Fireworks Studios, and he posted this over on the PlayStation blog. There's a moment that happens almost every day in our multiplayer playtests, where someone jolts out of their seat, laughs, and says, no one in particular, did you see that happen? He goes on to basically talk about their studios up and coming. They've been around since 2018, so they're not that old of a studio. I did some research to see like what they produced, and Scott, I couldn't find anything that they've actually developed as of yet. It sounds like there's a partnership here that went with PlayStation, that they are doing an exclusive multiplayer game, because Herman Hulse took to Twitter Let me just scroll down here a little bit. It says, proud to announce that we're partnering with Firewalk Studios on an ambitious new multiplayer game. I'm having a lot of fun playing it, and I can't wait to show you more of this exciting new IP for PlayStation Studios. So it's good to see, but let's get some backstory of who some of these people are, because the leadership over here has some pretty good backgrounds where they come from, building memorable experiences, such from Ryan Ellis, who was the game director and creative director on Destiny. Elena Sigmund, who was the executive producer on Guitar Hero 2, BioShock Infinite, and multiple Destiny releases. So it sounds like a lot of people are coming from the Destiny Bungie family. Are deeply, yeah. And also there was another one here too, Mass Effect. They worked on Mass Effect and Apex Legends. Dude, like the background, the backstory, the history of games, they've been around for a while. They know how to make games. It's just, I'm curious to see what they're making for PlayStation.
Yeah, all these people and their histories are quite storied, but what kind of flavor are they going to put together for a new project? I'm curious to see, but that sounds pretty hopeful.
No, absolutely. What do you want to see in a new multiplayer coming for PlayStation that's exclusive, Scott?
I'm going to have a somewhat controversial answer there. How about Mag 2?
Oh my god, dude!
With abilities, Apex.
I don't see that one happening, but Mag 2, yeah, wow, yeah, I forgot about that game. There's probably a reason, but it's yeah, I don't know what we're gonna see out of Firewalk, but we're definitely curious to see what is in store. Like, it's one of those things. Multiplayer games are one of those things that you often get. Dude, did you see that? Like, that's one of those experiences we live for, right? It's just one of those moments. It's a water cooler moment that allows you to just share with your friends. Everybody now is focused so heavily into the world of multiplayer that I'm curious to see where this is going to land. Are we going for a sim heavy style, or are we going into like a shooter, a first person shooter? Are we going to do something like, are they going to do something a little different, like maybe Sea of Thieves kind of esque, like, you know what I mean, co-op more than instead of the heavy shooter style?
I'm hoping to see a touch. Just having somebody on the team that worked on BioShock Infinite is, to me, a really good sign, because I think they might introduce some kind of spice into the mix from the BioShock universe. Not directly, of course, but maybe some sort of powers. And the idea of a BioShock-esque battle royale just sprung to mind. And I know we're in an era of a lot of battle royales, but I would play that one.
Well, that's just look at their background, right? You're talking about Destiny, you're talking about BioShock, you're talking about Apex. So right there, the one is a battle royale, one is a looter shooter, and then you have a story base. So there's a wide variety of games that they've developed on. So I'm wondering what they've taken from their backlog of history of knowledge and then pulled it together to create what. Definitely intrigued, right? Like, this sounds pretty exciting. I'm hyped to see what comes out of this one, but we'll have to wait tight and find out what's happening next. But PlayStation still continues. It's the first 5 months ever to sell the best US in the US for the PlayStation 5. It says, while we're still waiting on exact numbers for the last year's newest video game consoles, select stats have begun to emerge that, at least in the US, give it a clear lead of Sony's PlayStation 5. As it turns out, the lead is historically significant. The NPD group, these guys bring in huge numbers. They are always like the data guys to go to. So if you don't know who NPD is, that's where we get a lot of our stats from within the industry, because they are in there. They know the knowledge and the backlog and the stats to help us kind of figure all this stuff out. But the NPD group, a longtime retail analyst, have confirmed via brick and mortar and digital sales figures that the PlayStation 5 sold more units than any other console sold in its first 5 months in the US.
Oh wow! And this is despite the scalpers and the shortages and all that.
Yeah.
Even considering that they're still outselling, that's impressive.
Exactly. Well, and the biggest thing is right now, no one can find a PlayStation 5. So that's the issue. If they had PlayStation 5s on the shelf, where would that take them right now? We haven't heard anything out of Xbox, how they are doing, and I don't expect us to for a while yet.
Yeah, those are some big numbers, but I'm sure if they have something to boast, they will.
Well, that's it. Right? They just kind of hold back until they have something to say, right? So Pescatello's latest monthly report mostly screams good news for video game hardware, software, and accessory sales. The Switch is still the number one selling console in terms of units, both in the month of March and the entire first quarter, while the PlayStation 5 claimed the highest hardware dollars sales for the first 3-month period. Americans spent $680 million on video game hardware in March, beating the month's prior high of $552 million in 2008. And year-to-date hardware spending in the States is 81% higher this year compared to the last year in the same span, totaling $1.4 billion, Scott.
That's a huge amount of money, but it's not totally, out of the imagination, because we are dealing with a year long now of a lot of people being stuck in their homes, unable to work, not much to do. Video gaming is taking off exponentially. But one thing to consider as well, comparing Switch sales to the PlayStation 5, the PlayStation 5 is, I believe, twice, if not more, of the price tag. So that kind of explains a little bit how PlayStation can still lead in sales dollars.
Well, exactly, right? So there's 2 units out of the US. You can buy the PlayStation 5 without the disc at, I believe, $400, and with the disc for $500. It's extra $100 over here in the Canadian side of things. But yeah, that's where the difference is, right? Where the Switch itself was only $300. So everybody was scooping it up because it's one of the cheapest consoles around, even at launch, versus where the PlayStation 5 is when you're in there for $500. An extra $200, dude, is a big difference.
To a lot of people, absolutely, especially in the idea of buying a gift kind of console. Yeah. Everybody just swiped up the Switch. It sold like hotcakes.
Absolutely. Right now, Games Up in chat says, I must say I'm a big PlayStation fanboy, but I'm loving the Xbox Game Pass, which will lead us into the next story, because Xbox Live Gold changes free-to-play multiplayer pricing and everything else. Man, about time we finally see this. 2 decades on, the Xbox Live remains a staple Microsoft gaming effort, fundamental to the Xbox home console and touching PC and mobile too. That's coupled with its long-running Xbox Live Gold subscription, a monthly service unlocking its full suite of online features, including multiplayer, party chats, and exclusive bonuses. But the gaming network and Xbox Live Gold have undergone a significant revamp, laying out wide-reaching changes for all. Microsoft has shaken up the Xbox Online service this year with some of the most extensive changes to date for Xbox Live. It skews the value proposition of Xbox One, Xbox X and S consoles, making online multiplayer more accessible and better positioning its services against the competition. The biggest draw now, Scott, is Game Pass. Obviously, we talk about it all the time, how Game Pass has really changed the whole forefront of gaming when it comes to the online service and what it packs in a punch. It's kind of like that. If anybody hasn't heard of Game Pass, it's basically Netflix for video games, which is just a huge move. But now what they've also done is that they've added new changes to Xbox Live Gold and are now rolling out for consoles. Following the change, free-to-play multiplayer games are now playable on any account with or without Xbox Live Gold subscription. Finally, you can play Call of Duty Warzone. You can play Destiny 2. You can play Fortnite on Xbox for free.
That's the big one.
Well, exactly, right? Because if you didn't have that gold subscription, that's how you went online, and that's how you played online, and that's where you were only going to get online play. If you were on the PlayStation side, dude, all that was already accessible. You didn't have to have PlayStation Plus in order to get online now. So here you go with Xbox catching up to Sony finally, Scott.
Yeah, I guess they kind of were positioned as a gatekeeper a little bit. If you wanted to play Fortnite, perhaps were getting the console for a kid of yours or somebody who's interested in playing a lot of the free games, Xbox was kind of not the ideal choice just because of this subscription. But that out of the way, I'm sure that's going to boost Xbox sales just a little bit more. And it gives gamers a lot more options. You don't have to exclude yourself from Xbox now.
No, finally, right now they've always been pushing how inclusive they want to be, and this is just taking Xbox to that next step now, allowing it to open up to everybody. You don't have to have gold anymore, finally, to play Fortnite, which is obviously between Fortnite and Call of Duty, dude, they're the two biggest games right now in the industry.
Oh, absolutely. Just giant numbers. So that's a lot of people that are going to be able to have more options, and more options is always great.
Yep, absolutely. And there's more options now coming over from Ubisoft on Stadia. The Stadia app now allows you to directly subscribe to Ubisoft Plus, giving access to 20 games for just $14.99 per month. Earlier this year, Google announced that they were winding down their efforts to make first-party games through Stadia Games and Entertainment. Rest in peace, man. That was a heartbreaker. It still kind of bothers me, I gotta be honest, and I'm hoping to get an interview soon that we'll be able to talk about some of that a little bit more in depth, but we'll lead up with that later. At the time, the company mentioned that they would be seeking to work with more partners, and today we're seeing the fruits of that refocus. As announced on Stadia community blog, Ubisoft Plus is now getting deeper integration with Stadia than it had before. Since its launch in December, you needed to sign up for Ubisoft Plus through that service on the website, then connect your Google and your Ubisoft accounts together to make the games available through Stadia. Starting today, Stadia's web and Android apps now offer a full subscription flow for signing up for Ubisoft Plus on Android, and a new Ubisoft option appears in the app's settings, which walks you through connecting your Stadia and Ubisoft accounts together. Dude, this is cool to see. It's one less step, really, is what the main focus here is, right? Connecting Ubisoft Plus. This is their a la carte kind of way of playing Ubisoft games. But the best part is, because of Stadia, though, Scott, you just click on the game, dude, and you're in, right? Like, once you have that subscription. Now, the biggest thing I'm not 100% clear on, and I want to say this is how it is that you need to play. If you have Stadia Pro, that's one subscription, okay? And then you pay for Ubisoft Plus as another subscription. So that's two on the Stadia platform that you're paying for.
Yeah, it does increase the cost, but at the same time, it does also increase the value between the two. Stadia wants to offer a lot of games, and this is a way of just kind of implanting all of that Ubisoft coverage in there. That definitely raises rather the value of Stadia quite high. If that was your only option of gaming, then this is just another addition that's going to get you into a lot more games. It makes Stadia just a little bit more attractive.
No, it does. It presents another option, right? You can get Ubisoft Plus on other places as well. So there's all kinds of games. Ubisoft been around for years to make some of the best, some of my favorite games of all time. So there's definitely a huge and vast library there, and it's constantly growing, right? So we'll see how that kind of pans out. Definitely interesting to see them bring that model in a little bit differently, a little bit easier, and it just makes things more simplified. But Assassin's Creed is expanding its world once again. Today, Ubisoft announced collaborations with a host of acclaimed publishers, talented authors, and illustrators to continue expanding the Assassin's Creed universe to new forms of media. Assassin's Creed fans around the world can find out more about the various stories springing up from their favorite franchises by visiting the new website detailing publishing line for 2021 and beyond. You can head to assassinscreed.com/stories. What's going on here, Scott, is that they're actually bringing in other talents to expand the world, whether it be a novel, a graphic novel, or a podcast. They're bringing in high tier talent. They're not just like, I can't just draw something for Ubisoft and submit it and then be a part of this. That's not how that works. There is a whole thing behind it, how it goes. But dude, Assassin's Creed just gets bigger.
Yeah. Well, that's important that you mentioned. It's not quite like SCP series is. You cannot just add yourself to the Assassin's Creed universe. But this reminds me of the maneuver that Lucasfilms did way back, where they allowed writers to take on the stories, and it became the Star Wars extended universe.
Right.
And it was a way of just allowing many more people and a lot of writers to bring their imagination forward and add to the universe, instead of holding it and only having one director or writer team at a time.
Yeah.
So this I see is very positive for the Assassin's Creed universe. I'm hoping that we see a lot of really interesting stories. I am a fan myself, so
Yeah.
maybe I'm not too critical on this maneuver, but I'm just happy to see more content coming in the form of something that isn't exactly a 400-hour game.
No,
Those are
exactly.
great
Oh, yeah.
and interesting to jump into, but that's for a very specific kind of player.
No, absolutely. It's nice to see. I've read a bunch of the graphic novels. Dude, some of these are fantastic. So to see this expand, definitely keep my eye open on it because, yeah, I love the world of Assassin's Creed. Well, let's
And the
move.
universe, it keeps, sorry,
That's good.
I just wanted to add that the Assassin's Creed universe, especially as of late, has gotten very, very complicated. And they've
Yes.
retconned certain things. So I hope that this just brings a little bit more fluidity to the storyline.
Absolutely. Yesterday, Oculus held its very first gaming showcase, and they showcased off a couple games that kind of caught my eye. And, well, the VR co-op action FPS After the Fall was announced for Oculus Quest. Supports cross-platform multiplayer as well, Scott. New gameplay teaser provides first look at the intense 4-player co-op VR action gameplay offered by next major VR game from Arizona Sunshine Studios. Yesterday, the first Oculus Gaming Showcase, Vertigo Games, the VR specializing publishing and development arm out of Global Koch Media Group, have announced the VR co-op action FPS After the Fall, and this has full cross-play support with Oculus Rift, as well as PlayStation VR, dude.
I like that combination. That is a very interesting partnership or cross-platform service between PlayStation VR and Oculus. I think that's great because I want to see the PSVR grow. I understandably there's a new model eventually coming down the line, but I would just like to see that really picked up. I'm as a member of the Oculus community, I'm really enjoying VR games in general. The idea of Vertigo Games named Vertigo Games, I think, is a little on the nose.
Yep.
But
Absolutely.
this looks to be a promising title. I'm excited.
No, absolutely, for sure. And one I'm excited for as well was announced by Shell Games. I Expect You to Die 2 is coming to Oculus platforms this fall, sometime in 2021. Creators behind the award-winning spy VR puzzler I Expect You to Die is excited to announce the sequel, I Expect You to Die 2, The Spy and the Liar, will launch on Oculus Quest and Quest Rift platforms later this year. So look for that one. Dude, that's exciting. I love the I Expect You to Die game from last time. So very pumped to see where they can take the second one. It's just got some humor in it that you just die. Get ready to die because that's how it's going to happen. That's what's going on.
That's what I was gonna say. Is that I'm excited to see more of that because any gameplay I've seen from I Expect You to Die has been hysterical.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, it's definitely a great time. Moving on to other games too that was announced was the action RPG Almighty Kill Your Gods is coming into PC on May 5th. From there, there'll be a playable test as well, a beta test, it'll be public actually, play test available on April 26th until the 28th. And then lastly was the Black Desert Online Saga, or Sage receives the Awakening update. So look for that as well. There we go. That'll wrap up today's show. Everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. Don't forget, you can find us live every day, Monday to Friday at twitch.tv/theofficialitg. If you can't join us live and submit your questions, make sure to join our Discord. Hit us up on Twitter at theofficialitg. Look for us on TV streaming platforms, podcast services around the world, and of course, InsideTheGame.ca. Until tomorrow, we'll be back then. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you inside the game.